First Contact Fallout. Commander Jamie Reeves stood frozen at Earth Defense Command's Central Observation Deck, coffee forgotten in her hand as the massive alien vessel materialized in low Earth orbit. The ship, if you could even call it that, resembled nothing so much as a metallic spider with too many legs, each appendage tipped with what military analysts were already flagging as weapon systems. "They've breached our defensive perimeter without triggering a single alert," Lieutenant Kapoor said, voice steady despite the fear evident in her eyes. One moment empty space, the next. "Get me the Security Council," Reeves ordered, setting down her coffee with a trembling hand. "And put all orbital platforms on high alert. No offensive posture, yet." Before anyone could comply, every screen in the command center flickered and went black. A moment later, they reactivated with a single image. A being with iridescent blue-gray skin, 4 piercing amber eyes, and what might have been a mouth twisted into what might have been a smile. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English, its voice a strange harmonic that seemed to resonate through the bones rather than the ears. "I am Overseer Kirtax of the Vraxian Dominion. Your world has been selected for resource acquisition. Resistance is unnecessary and inadvisable." Reeves felt a chill run through her body. After 15 years in Earth's unified defense force, she'd always believed first contact would happen eventually. But not like this. Never like this. "Attempt communication on all frequencies," she ordered. "Tell them we're willing to discuss trade agreements, cultural exchange, anything that doesn't involve the words resource acquisition." For 3 days, Earth's leaders attempted diplomacy. The Vraxians responded with silence, their massive ship hanging motionless above the planet like a suspended axe. Then, without warning, smaller vessels detached from the mothership, hundreds of them, descending toward major population centers around the globe. They're targeting strategic locations, General Watkins reported during the Emergency Security Council session. "Military installations, power plants, communication hubs. Classic invasion protocol." President Isabel Morales looked around the table at the grim faces of Earth's most powerful nations. "Options. We fight," said the Russian representative bluntly. "With what?" China's delegate countered. "Our most advanced fighter jets can't even reach their altitude before being disabled." The arguments continued as reports flooded in from around the world. The Vraxian dropships had landed, disgorging sleek, insectoid machines that moved with terrifying speed and precision. Human military resistance was being crushed with casual efficiency. In her laboratory at the International Science Foundation, Dr. Eliza Kaminsky watched the invasion unfold on her tablet, tears streaming down her face. She'd spent her career studying theoretical xenobiology, preparing humanity for extraterrestrial contact. Now aliens were here, and nothing in her research had prepared her for this reality. "They're methodical," she told her research assistant, Thomas, as they watched footage of Vraxian mining equipment being assembled in what had been downtown Rio de Janeiro. "Look at the soil sampling, the geological surveys. They're not just destroying, they're harvesting." "Harvesting what?" Thomas asked, his voice hollow. "Everything," Eliza whispered. "Metals, minerals, biological material. They're strip mining Earth." 3 weeks after first contact, Dr. Kaminsky was pulled from her home by Vraxian drones, sleek, floating machines with too many appendages and glowing sensor arrays where faces should be. She wasn't the only one. Scientists, engineers, and technical specialists from around the world were being gathered and transported to Vraxian processing centers. Inside the Jakarta Processing Center, formerly the Indonesian National University, Eliza found herself in a transparent cell. Through the walls, she could see dozens of other humans in similar enclosures. Across from her was Dr. Wei Chen, a renowned geologist she recognized from academic conferences. "They're studying us," Wei whispered through a small air circulation vent connecting their cells. "Taking samples, running tests." Eliza nodded grimly. "We need to learn everything we can about them. If anyone survives this, They'll need the information. The Vraxians put Eliza to work analyzing terrestrial biological samples. While she worked under their supervision, she secretly studied their technology, their behavior patterns, and most importantly, their database interfaces. At night in her cell, she pieced together what she learned. The Vraxians were an empire spanning dozens of star systems. They identified resource-rich worlds, extracted everything valuable, and moved on, leaving barren husks behind. Native species were either exterminated or, if deemed useful, selectively preserved as labor resources. In their database, humans were classified as sentient/class 3, pre-FTL, with a notation, suitable for auxiliary labor, adaptive biology. Recommend partial preservation. Outside the processing centers, across Earth, the situation deteriorated rapidly. The Vraxians established massive mining operations, destroying cities to access the mineral deposits beneath them. Their machines ripped through forests, drained lakes, and bored into mountain ranges. Millions fled to increasingly shrinking safe zones as Vraxian extraction camps expanded across 6 continents. Military forces around the world attempted resistance. China launched its entire nuclear arsenal at a Vraxian platform near Shanghai. The missiles detonated harmlessly against some invisible barrier. In response, the Vraxians vaporized Beijing and 3 surrounding provinces. "We can't beat them conventionally," Commander Reeves told the remnants of Earth's military leadership in their underground bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. "Their technology is too advanced." "So we surrender?" General Watkins asked, his voice bitter. "No," Reeves said firmly. "We adapt. We go underground, literally. Small cells, guerrilla tactics. We gather intel. We find weaknesses. There's no such thing as an invulnerable enemy." By the end of the first month, organized military resistance had collapsed. The United Nations headquarters lay in ruins. Most world governments had fallen silent. The Vraxians controlled all major cities and resource-rich areas, roughly 70% of Earth's surface. But in the shadows, survivors began to regroup. Small resistance cells formed in abandoned mines, underground tunnels, remote mountain regions, and the deeper parts of surviving forests. They gathered weapons, shared information, and waited for opportunities. Former soldiers taught civilians how to fight. Engineers repurposed salvage technology. Doctors established secret medical facilities. And aboard one of the Vraxian processing ships, Dr. Eliza Kaminsky made a discovery that would change everything. The Vraxians had underestimated human adaptability, treating them as just another species to be cataloged and processed. They hadn't noticed when Eliza reprogrammed her workstation to access restricted databases. They hadn't realized she understood enough of their language to navigate their systems. And they certainly hadn't expected her to discover the one thing that might give humanity a fighting chance. Their biology, she whispered to herself as she stared at the genetic sequencing displayed on her screen. It's not just different, it's fundamentally incompatible with ours. The realization struck her like lightning. The Vraxians weren't just alien in appearance. They were chemically alien in ways that might be exploitable. Their cellular structure used different proteins, different amino acids, different everything. As Eliza carefully copied the data to a hidden storage device she constructed from salvaged parts, she allowed herself to feel something she hadn't felt since the ships first appeared in Earth's sky. Hope. Outside her laboratory window, Earth burned as Vraxian machines continued their relentless harvest. But beneath the surface, in hidden places the aliens hadn't yet reached, humanity was adapting, learning, preparing. The Vraxians believed they were simply harvesting another world. They had no concept of the terrible mistake they'd made in underestimating the creatures who called this planet home. They would learn. The underground resistance. 5 years after the Vraxian invasion, Dr. Maya Chen huddled in the dim light of what had once been a subway maintenance tunnel beneath the ruins of San Francisco. Now it served as one of humanity's most advanced laboratories. If you could call a collection of salvaged equipment, jury-rigged computers, and stolen Vraxian tech, advanced. "Any change?" asked Colonel Sam Harrington, ducking into the lab space. His weathered face bore the scars of a close encounter with a Vraxian patrol drone 2 years earlier. Once the commander of an Air Force tactical wing, he now led the Western North American Resistance, one of dozens of independent human factions fighting to survive. "I think I'm onto something," Maya said, not looking up from her microscope. "Look at these cell samples." Sam leaned in as Maya shifted aside. Through the eyepiece, he could see 2 distinct samples, one a healthy pink, the other a sickly blue-gray. "Human cells and Vraxian cells," Maya explained. "Now watch what happens when I introduce this compound." She applied a dropper of clear liquid to both samples. The human cells remained unchanged, while the Vraxian cells rapidly deteriorated, membranes collapsing and internal structures dissolving. "What am I looking at?" Sam asked, his voice hushed. "A specific frequency of radiation combined with a chemical catalyst," Maya explained, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. "It targets the unique phospholipid structure of Vraxian cell membranes while leaving human cells completely unaffected." Sam straightened, eyes wide. "You're saying you found a way to kill them without harming us?" "In theory," Maya cautioned. "I've only tested it on cellular samples, and the range is limited. We'd need to be within 20 meters for it to be effective." "But it works," Sam insisted, a fierce light kindling in his eyes. "After 5 years of getting our asses kicked, we finally have something that works against those bastards." Before Maya could respond, the communications officer burst into the lab. "Colonel, we're receiving an emergency transmission from the Denver cell. The Vraxians have found their main base. They're requesting immediate evacuation support." Sam cursed. "Get the rapid response team ready. We leave in 10. "I'm coming with you," Maya said, already packing her equipment. "If Denver falls, we lose their biological research team and everything they've learned about Vraxian physiology." Hours later, a camouflaged transport raced across the nighttime Nevada desert. The vehicle, modified with salvaged Vraxian tech to mask its heat signature, carried Sam, Maya, and 12 of their best fighters. Vraxian patrols rarely ventured into the more desolate regions anymore. They'd already stripped them of valuable resources and moved on to richer targets. "Remember what we're here for," Sam told his team as they approached the Rocky Mountain foothills. "This is an extraction mission, not a confrontation. Get the Denver science team and their data out. Avoid engagement unless absolutely necessary." As they crested a ridge overlooking what had once been the Denver metropolitan area, they saw the devastation below. The city was gone, replaced by a massive Vraxian mining complex. Huge machines bored into the earth, extracting metals and minerals from deep below the surface. What had once been the Denver Resistance's hidden base, an old Ingenuity facility, was now crawling with Vraxian forces. "Too late," someone whispered. "No," Sam said firmly. "We don't know that." "Com officer, any response to our signals?" "Nothing on the main frequencies," replied Lieutenant Rivera, the young communications specialist. "Wait, I'm picking up something on the emergency backup channel. It's a location ping, about 3 kilometers north of the main facility." Following the signal, they found the remnants of the Denver team. 17 survivors out of what had been a community of over 300, hiding in an abandoned rail tunnel. Among them was Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, the cell's lead scientist. They came without warning. Hiroshi explained as they loaded the survivors into the transport. "New scanning technology, something we hadn't seen before. They detected our power signature through 50 meters of solid rock." "Did you save your research data?" Maya asked urgently. Hiroshi nodded, tapping his chest where a data drive hung on a cord around his neck. "Everything, including something you need to see immediately." Back at the San Francisco base, Maya and Hiroshi worked feverishly to integrate their research. What emerged was both terrifying and potentially game-changing. The Vraxians aren't just mining Earth for minerals. Hiroshi explained to the assembled resistance leadership. They're harvesting biological samples, plant species, animal species, human genetic material. They're creating a comprehensive biological archive of Earth. Why? Asked Elena Rodriguez, leader of the South American resistance. They've shown nothing but contempt for Earth life. Because they're terraformers, Maya said, picking up the explanation. They don't just take resources and leave. They transform planets to suit their biology. Once they've extracted what they want, they'll release engineered organisms to convert our atmosphere, our soil, our oceans, everything, into an environment hospitable to Vraxian life and lethal to ours. A stunned silence fell over the communication channel connecting resistance leaders from around the world. How long do we have? Sam finally asked. Based on their current extraction rates and the terraforming equipment we've identified at their main bases, Hiroshi said grimly, less than 2 years. Then we accelerate our timeline, declared Asim Demir, the leader of the Middle Eastern resistance. Dr. Chen, how quickly can you weaponize your discovery? With Hiroshi's data, I can improve the range and effectiveness, Maya replied. Give me 2 months to develop a deliverable version. You have 1 month, Sam said firmly. We'll gather every resource you need, but the clock is ticking. For the next 4 weeks, resistance cells worldwide focused on supporting Maya and Hiroshi's work. Raiding parties risked everything to steal specific equipment from Vraxian facilities. Couriers braved occupied territories to transport critical components. Engineers and scientists worked around the clock to build prototypes based on Maya's designs. The result was the Chen Tanaka device, a compact radiation emitter that could target Vraxian biology at ranges up to 50 meters. The first successful field test came when a small resistance team ambushed a Vraxian patrol near Sacramento. The aliens collapsed within seconds of exposure, their cellular structures rapidly breaking down. For the first time, humans had killed Vraxians without losing a single person. The news spread through resistance networks worldwide, igniting a flame of hope that had been all but extinguished. But everyone knew that taking out a few patrols wouldn't be enough. They needed something bigger, much bigger. We need to hit them everywhere at once, Sam argued during a global strategy meeting. Coordinated strikes against all major Vraxian installations. With what? Elena countered. We have maybe 300 devices worldwide. They have millions of troops and machines. We don't need to kill them all, Maya interjected. We just need to create enough chaos to capture one of their ships. All eyes turned to her. The Vraxians use automated transport shuttles to move resources from Earth to their orbital platforms, she explained. These shuttles are lightly guarded because, until now, we've posed no real threat to them. If we can capture one intact, we could reach their mothership, Asim finished, understanding dawning. But what then? Even with the Chen Tanaka devices, we couldn't possibly take over a vessel of that size. We don't need to take it over, Hiroshi said quietly. We just need to access their central database, their entire network, specifications for their technology, their FTL drives, their weapons systems, details about their homeworld and colonies. It's all there. Knowledge is power, Sam murmured. If we understand their technology, we might actually have a fighting chance. It's still a suicide mission, Elena pointed out. Whoever goes won't be coming back. I'll go, said Lieutenant Rivera unexpectedly. All eyes turned to the young communications officer. Before the invasion, I was studying aerospace engineering. I understand their communication systems better than anyone, and I have no family left to mourn me. Sam opened his mouth to protest, then closed it again. They all knew the stakes. They all knew the cost. And they all knew that someone would have to pay it. Operation Echo, he said finally. A global distraction while a small team captures a shuttle and accesses the mothership. We'll need perfect coordination, perfect timing, and a whole lot of luck. As the resistance leaders began planning the details of what would be either humanity's last stand or its first real victory, Maya pulled Hiroshi aside. "There's something else in your data," she said quietly. "Something you didn't mention to the others." Hiroshi's face grew solemn. "You noticed. The Vraxian genetic manipulation capabilities," Maya continued. "They're not just for terraforming, are they? They're creating biological weapons specifically designed to target humans." "Yes," Hiroshi confirmed. "And based on the samples I was able to analyze, they're nearly ready for deployment. If Operation Echo fails, then humanity doesn't have 2 years," Maya finished. "We have weeks." Outside their hidden base, the ruins of San Francisco stood as a monument to what had already been lost. The once magnificent Golden Gate Bridge was now just twisted metal, its materials harvested for Vraxian use. The bay itself was discolored and lifeless, its waters poisoned by alien mining runoff. But beneath the surface, both literally and figuratively, humanity prepared for what might be its final battle. Engineers modified the Chen Tanaka devices for maximum effect. Combat teams drilled on Vraxian shuttle capture procedures. Communication specialists established the encoded network that would coordinate the global assault. And in her quiet moments alone, Dr. Maya Chen stared at samples of Vraxian cells dying under her specialized radiation and wondered if humans had become what they were fighting, a species willing to exterminate another for its own survival. "No," she told herself firmly. "We didn't start this war, but we damn well intend to finish it." The countdown to Operation Echo had begun. Operation Echo. Lieutenant Sofia Rivera checked her equipment one final time as the transport rumbled through the pre-dawn darkness toward the Sacramento Vraxian extraction facility. The modified Chen Tanaka device strapped to her chest hummed softly, its indicator lights glowing a steady blue. Around her, 5 other volunteers performed their own equipment checks, each knowing there was a good chance they wouldn't return from this mission. "Coming up on the perimeter," whispered Sergeant Jackson, their driver. "Blackout protocols." All lights inside the vehicle went dark as they approached the massive facility. Once California's capital city, now a sprawling complex of alien mining equipment and processing centers. The transport itself, salvaged from a Vraxian patrol and modified with human ingenuity, would register as a routine supply vehicle on alien scanners. "Remember," Sophia said to her team, "global coordination is everything. We have a 3-minute window when the worldwide attack begins. That's our only chance to reach the shuttle bay undetected." No one responded verbally, just grim nods all around. They'd been over the plan countless times. Every resistance cell worldwide would launch simultaneous attacks on Vraxian installations, creating the largest coordinated human offensive since the invasion. While the aliens scrambled to respond to these seemingly random attacks, Sophia's team would infiltrate the Sacramento facility, capture a resource transport shuttle, and make the desperate journey to the mothership in orbit. Their modified transport glided through the outer checkpoints without incident, Vraxian identification codes flawlessly replicated by human hackers. As they approached the main facility, Sophia checked her timepiece. "T-minus 60 seconds, she whispered. "Masks on, devices ready." The special breathing apparatus would protect them from the slightly modified atmosphere inside Vraxian facilities, something humans had learned the hard way during early infiltration attempts. The Chen Tanaka devices had been adjusted to operate with minimal radiation signature until activated. Otherwise, the Vraxians might detect them before they could be deployed. 30 seconds. Sophia closed her eyes briefly, allowing herself one moment of doubt, of fear. She thought of her family. Parents lost in the initial attack on Mexico City, her brother presumably dead somewhere in the fighting. She remembered her university, her friends, her plans for the future, all ashes now. 10 seconds. She opened her eyes, doubt burned away by resolve. Whatever happened today, humanity would not go quietly. 3, 2, 1. The world erupted. Even from inside their transport, they felt the concussive force of the Resistance's opening salvo. Improvised explosives detonated at strategic points around the facility perimeter. Through the viewports, Sophia saw Resistance fighters emerging from hidden positions. Chen Tanaka devices, blazing with deadly radiation, targeted specifically at Vraxian biology. "Move," she ordered, and her team burst from the transport, devices activated. The scene inside the facility was chaos. Vraxian workers and security personnel collapsed as the specialized radiation swept through the area. Others rushed to defensive positions, their insectoid forms moving with inhuman speed and precision. Energy weapons fired, cutting down several human attackers. Sophia's team moved with practiced efficiency through the confusion, heading directly for the shuttle bay on the facility's eastern side. 2 Resistance fighters fell to Vraxian weapons fire, but the remaining 4 pushed forward, Chen Tanaka devices clearing a path through alien defenders. "Shuttle bay ahead," called Corporal Lee, their navigation specialist. 30 meters. They rounded a corner and froze. The shuttle bay doors were closing, an automatic security protocol. Beyond the narrowing gap, Sophia could see their target. A sleek Vraxian transport vessel, already powering up for emergency departure. "Run," she shouted, and the team sprinted forward. Energy bolts hissed past them as Vraxian security forces converged on their position. 20 meters to the doors. 15. 10. The gap was barely wide enough for a person to slip through. "I'll hold them off," shouted Sergeant Diaz, the oldest member of their team. Before Sophia could protest, he had turned, Chen Tanaka device at maximum output, creating a wall of deadly radiation between the team and their pursuers. "Go," he roared as Vraxian bodies dropped around him. "Complete the mission." Sophia, Lee, and their remaining team member, Dr. Willis, squeezed through the narrowing gap between the bay doors, just as they slammed shut behind them. The shuttle sat on its launch pad, engines glowing with unearthly light. 2 guards at the entry ramp," Lee whispered. Sophia nodded and adjusted her device to maximum range. The beam swept across the bay, catching both Vraxian guards. They collapsed, their cellular structures unable to withstand the specialized radiation. "Move." The 3 humans sprinted across the bay floor and up the entry ramp. Inside, they encountered a single Vraxian pilot, who turned in surprise at their entrance. Dr. Willis deployed his Chen Tanaka device before the alien could react. "I need 5 minutes," Sophia said, sliding into what appeared to be the pilot's position. The controls were alien, but not incomprehensible, thanks to thousands of hours of observation and study by Resistance engineers. "Lee, secure the ship. Willis, help me with the navigation system." As Lee checked the vessel for any remaining Vraxian personnel, Willis began the complex process of reprogramming the shuttle's automated flight path. Their destination wasn't Earth orbit. That would be expected and intercepted. Instead, they planned to slingshot around the moon, approaching the mothership from an unexpected angle. "Alert signals," Willis reported, studying the alien console. "The facility knows the shuttle's been compromised." "How long until we can launch?" Sophia asked, her fingers dancing across unfamiliar controls as she recalled her training. "Engine warm-up sequence at 80%, Willis replied. 2 minutes minimum." "We don't have 2 minutes, Lee said grimly, returning from his sweep. "Look." Through the shuttle's viewports, they could see Vraxian security forces assembling outside the bay doors. Cutting equipment was already being applied to the sealed entrance. "Options," Sophia demanded. "We can try an emergency launch," Willis suggested. "But with cold engines, we might not clear the atmosphere." Sophia made an instant decision. "Do it. Better to die trying than be captured." Willis nodded and began the override sequence while Sophia initiated the launch protocols. The shuttle shuddered as its engines fought against safety parameters, straining to generate sufficient thrust. "They're through the doors," Lee shouted. Sophia looked up to see the bay doors parting slightly, Vraxian forces visible beyond. "Time to launch." 30 seconds, Willis replied, his voice steady despite everything. Lee, maximum output on your device, Sophia ordered. Buy us those 30 seconds. Without hesitation, Lee positioned himself at the entry ramp, Chen Tanaka device, set to its widest dispersal pattern. As Vraxian forces poured into the bay, the invisible wave of radiation dropped them by the dozens, but more kept coming. 10 seconds to launch, Willis called. A Vraxian energy bolt caught Lee squarely in the chest. He staggered but remained standing, his finger locked on the device's trigger. 5 seconds. Another bolt hit Lee. He dropped to his knees, blood streaming from beneath his mask, but his device continued emitting its protective radiation. Launch. The shuttle lurched upward with stomach-churning acceleration, crushing Sophia and Willis into their seats. Through the viewports, they saw the bay roof arising open just wide enough for their vessel to squeeze through. Lee's body tumbled from the entry ramp as it sealed closed, falling to the bay floor among the Vraxian dead. He saved us, Willis whispered as the shuttle punched through the clouds, Earth's blue atmosphere darkening to the black of space. And we'll make it count, Sophia replied, her voice tight with grief and determination. Status: 3 Vraxian interceptors launching from the northern facility, Willis reported, monitoring the alien sensor array. Estimated intercept in 6 minutes. And the moon slingshot. We'll reach lunar orbit in 8 minutes. Sophia cursed. We need to buy time. Can we increase speed? Not without overheating the engines, Willis replied. But his eyes lit up with sudden inspiration. We can mask our heat signature by venting coolant from the port thrusters. It'll look like we're damaged and losing power. Do it, Sophia ordered. Maybe they'll slow their approach if they think we're crippled. The strategy worked better than they dared hope. The pursuing interceptors reduced speed, clearly intending to capture rather than destroy what they believed to be a failing shuttle. This gave Sophia and Willis precious additional minutes to reach lunar orbit. Slingshot trajectory locked in, Willis announced as the gray surface of the moon filled their viewports. Hang on. The shuttle whipped around the moon's dark side at terrifying speed, using its gravity to accelerate beyond what their engines alone could achieve. When they emerged, the mothership was directly ahead, a massive structure that resembled nothing so much as a metallic spider suspended against the stars. Incoming transmission, Willis reported. They're ordering us to identify. Ignore it, Sophia said. Approach vector to docking bay 7. Calculated and locked in. But Sophia, their defensive systems are activating. Outside, massive turrets on the mothership's surface were swiveling toward them. They had perhaps 30 seconds before those weapons would reduce their stolen shuttle to atoms. Emergency Protocol Omega, Sophia said grimly. Willis looked at her in shock. That's suicide. No, it's sacrifice, Sophia corrected. We knew this was likely a one-way trip. Initiate the protocol. I'll pilot us in manually. With visible reluctance, Willis began the complex sequence that would transmit all their sensor data back to Earth via specialized burst communication. Meanwhile, Sophia took manual control of the shuttle, pushing its engines beyond safe parameters. Targeting systems locked on us, Willis reported, his voice steady despite everything. Firing in 5. Sophia wrenched the controls, sending the shuttle into an evasive spiral that no Vraxian would expect, because no Vraxian would be crazy enough to attempt it. Energy beams sliced through space where they had been moments before. 4 kilometers to docking bay, Willis called out. 3, 2. A glancing hit from a defensive turret sent them spinning. Warning signals flashed across every console as systems failed throughout the shuttle. Sophia fought the controls, using the spin to their advantage as they careened toward the open docking bay. Brace, she screamed as they crashed through the bay's atmospheric barrier. The shuttle skidded across the docking bay floor, tearing through equipment and smaller vessels before slamming into the far wall. For a moment, everything was noise and pain and confusion. Then silence. Sophia regained consciousness to the sound of warning klaxons. Her body was pinned beneath twisted metal, but she could see Willis a few meters away, dragging himself toward a Vraxian console. "Status," she croaked. "I'm uploading the virus to their network," Willis replied, blood streaming from a gash in his forehead. 30 seconds to complete transmission. All around them, emergency barriers were sealing the damaged docking bay. Soon, Vraxian security forces would flood the area. Sophia tried to move but found herself firmly trapped. "The Chen Tanaka device," she called to Willis. "Is it intact?" He glanced at the device still strapped to his chest. "Yes, but battery power is low. 10 minutes at most." "Get to the central data hub," Sophia ordered. "It should be 2 levels up, based on the schematics we studied. Download everything you can and transmit it back to Earth." Willis looked at her trapped form. "I'm not leaving you." "Yes, you are," Sophia said firmly. "The mission comes first, always." After a moment of hesitation, Willis nodded. He staggered to his feet, adjusted the Chen Tanaka device to its most efficient setting, and moved toward an access corridor at the bay's edge. "Sophia," he said, pausing at the doorway, "it's been an honor." "Likewise, Doctor. Now go make this worth it." As Willis disappeared into the corridor, Sophia turned her attention to the wreckage pinning her. With tremendous effort, she managed to free one arm, enough to reach the emergency beacon hidden in her suit. When activated, it would transmit a continuous signal back to Earth, confirming their successful penetration of the mothership. Outside the crashed shuttle, she could hear the sounds of Vraxian forces assembling. Her free hand found her sidearm, a conventional human weapon, useless against Vraxian armor, but comforting nonetheless. "Come on, Willis," she whispered. "Complete the mission." For 15 agonizing minutes, Sophia waited, listening to the Vraxians attempting to cut through the shuttle's hull. The beacon continued its silent transmission to Earth. Then, suddenly, a different alarm began to sound throughout the mothership. Deeper, more urgent. Sophia smiled through bloodied lips. Willis had reached the data hub. The console on the shuttle's damaged control panel flickered to life, displaying a message in human text. "Data transmission complete. Proceeding to secondary objective. Godspeed, Lieutenant." Sophia understood what the secondary objective meant. Dr. Willis would attempt to reach the mothership's power core and overload it using a modified Chen Tanaka device. It was a suicidal mission with minimal chance of success. But if it worked, it would cripple Vraxian command and control across Earth. As the Vraxians finally breached the shuttle hull, Sophia activated her own Chen Tanaka device at maximum output. The radiation flooded the compartment, dropping the first wave of alien soldiers as they entered. "For Earth," she whispered, closing her eyes as more Vraxians poured in. "Energy."